A new era for Reaver football is underway. The first of 16 games against the much talked about Jayhawk Football Conference taking place on Saturday. And we've got all the highlights and the head coach. I'm Jake Ryan. Stick around as we pick the brain of offensive mastermind and Reaver head football coach Scott Strohmeier for the next 30 minutes. It's a new year and a new edition of the Iowa Western Football Coaches Show. It's the Coach Stroh Show right here on CBTV 17 and the Reaver Sports Network. Hello and welcome to another edition of the Coach Stroh Show here on CBTV 17, Channel 17. I'm Jake Ryan, joined by Iowa Western head football coach Scott Strohmeier. Coach, I tell you what, last year we were definitely excited about the prospects of playing the Jayhawk slate of schools in addition to the remaining Iowa Conference schools. How about you? I know that you always have to worry about one game at a time and all the other coach speak that you give us, but how about you and the players coming into this season? Had to be a little bit different feel knowing the kind of competition that you were going to face week in and week out.
Well, I think so, and I think it gives you a little bit of more focus going through fall camp that you're going through 11 straight weeks, and we really had to do some different things evaluation-wise and maybe adding some depth that we maybe didn't have to in the past, but because we know what type of conference it is week in and week out.
Well, you get Coffeyville unranked, but we know that they are no pushover. Let's take a look at the highlights. Game number one, here come the Reivers, and it was an exciting atmosphere at Lewis Central's Titan Stadium. The Reivers coming out in their classics. I like what you did there, the blue tops, the white bottoms, and the white helmets. Here's a pass to Alex Reed on the opening drive after Coffeyville deferred. Alex Reed makes that catch. Now Tate gets in a little bit of trouble. Tate Bender, the starting quarterback, fumbles, but Xavier Quigley, who's running things at the center spot this year, very perceptive and hops on that loose ball.
Well, it's good that we got that one back, and we tried getting Tay into the end zone here on a little quarterback design run.
Well, it comes down to this play near the goal line, and you start thinking, okay, what's going on here? Are the Reivers going to crack the end zone or not? And finally, we see this play on fourth down and 2. Taj Williams, very talented receiver, gets the first score of the year for the Reivers.
That was a big one. Let's try it. Let's go for it. Let's try to see if we can get them to jump off sides, and we probably still would have went for it, but it's good to get that free one.
And the first play from Coffeyville, an interception. Mondo Williams, the sophomore, he had a big electric return last season against Iowa Central. This time, not quite as far, but just as electric.
I'll tell you what, it was a heck of a play, and to go up 14-0 within 4 minutes or whatever it was in the ball game was huge.
Well, Colby Brown, the starting quarterback for Coffeyville, handing off to Cody Busby. He seems to be the guy that they wanted to go to early and often.
Yes, he's a good, talented tailback. Defensively, we came out and made some plays on him right away.
And then, of course, you see the big gain. Dominique Reed, a guy that we had talked about all week, number 3. He is the real deal.
He's talented. I tell you what, I haven't seen too many. We haven't faced too many receivers to his ability.
And why not go back to Dominique Reed after that run fails into the end zone, and Reed just a little bit of a slant, crosses the middle and gets the inside position.
Yeah, now we're 14-7. I said he's a talented receiver. I knew he was going to give us some fits.
So 14-7 into the second quarter, and guess what? Dominique Reed again, and that flash of white with the number 3. It was getting old, Coach.
It was, and that ties it up. But they came with a little play action that kind of tricked our secondary a little bit and got them free.
How about the Reivers on this next drive? Ronald Nash, the talented freshman out of Sioux City, catches a big one of those big game plays. He's thrown out of bounds down near the sideline. And then Tyus Mason, another new face on the Reivers.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, Ronald's he had 7 for 112 yards, and Tyus did a nice job. This was big. They came back to tied up 14s, and Tyus ends up scoring there to give us back the lead.
Well, 3 plays on that drive, and it was quick strike, that's for sure, for the Reivers. So you said it, you go up 21-14, you're thinking, hey, we're feeling pretty good about this now. You get the ball back, and Tay goes to work again. This one, a little bit of a Reed Bonner trying for a little bit too much, pulled the ball away trying to play defense, and it popped the ball into the air, and their guy was just in the area. What a timing play that was for their defense.
Well, there goes. We each had an interception return for a touchdown, but I mean that's part of football. You know, they were in the right place at the right time, and got to tie it up again.
Well, and of course, you go back to work, tied up at 21, and the momentum definitely was not on the side of the Reivers. As you go into the half tied up at 28 on this play to Alex Reed after they had gotten ahead on that interception, a punt block, which we didn't see, but they take the lead 28-21. You get the score before halftime with Alex Reed, and all of that set up by, I would say, Tate's feet, because all he did was give that little shoulder fake and then went long.
Well, and Alex had a huge fourth down catch, 4th and 3. We converted, and then that touchdown was 3rd and inches.
Yep.
We were going to go 4th down regardless, so we were going to take a shot.
Well, and I heard Tate say after the game that was a timing play with Alex, because they've done so many things together over the last 2 seasons. And then, of course, at the end of the half, you get Mondo's big interception when Coffeyville looked like they were going to get a chance to score. Maybe an offensive hold that was called the other way that gave them a 1st and goal situation, but the defense definitely coming up big.
Well, and I said that was one of the bigger plays. I mean, from our drive to go tie it at 28, of converting the 4th and converting the 3rd and inches for a touchdown, and then Mondo's interception there was huge. I mean, Coffeyville's getting the ball back in the second half. We ended up going in to tie it up rather than down a touchdown.
Well, they get a block punt for a touchdown and a pick 6. You guys get a pick 6. Definitely an exciting feel, but definitely a different feel about the game. A little bit different than going up against teams back and forth like you did last year.
Yeah, you know, and that's the way this league is. You know, they got some good players, and 14 points is nothing. You know, you got to try to be able to put them away, but you just got to weather it. In the first game for both teams, we both made some mistakes. You know, we're fortunate, like I said, to come out at the half being 28s.
Well, as we said, definitely a different feel about game number 1 of 2014. The last time the Reivers had even been close at the half was back in 2012 when number 21 Georgia Military came to town. They scored a touchdown right before the half, and you were still in the lead. The question is, would a 15-game home win streak come to an end? The Reivers and Red Ravens had another 30 minutes of football in front of them. We'll look at those highlights when we come back on the Coach Stroh Show. This is the Iowa Western Football Coaches Show on CBTV 17.
Body language can tell you all sorts of things. Like someone is having a stroke. Know the sudden signs. Learn fast. Face drooping, arm weakness, speech difficulty. Time to call 911 and get them to a hospital immediately. Learn the body language and spot a stroke fast.
Todos tenemos un sueño. El mío era ver el océano. Y con un poco de ayuda, lo logré.
There's a shelter pet who wants to meet you. Meet one today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org. Adopt.
From the studios of CBTV 17 on the campus of Iowa Western here in Council Bluffs, Iowa, you've got the Coach Stroh Show. Jake Ryan and the head football coach of Iowa Western, Scott Strohmeier. The second-ranked Reivers all knotted up at 28 with unranked Coffeyville. Although, Coach, you know that the Red Ravens have got a tremendous history, 3 national titles, also the JUCO home of a guy that a lot of people around here are familiar with, former Nebraska Cornhusker and Heisman Trophy winner Mike Rozier. The game, never going to be easy. What did you say to your players at the halftime break?
I mean, I didn't really say too much to them, you know, in the fact that they got some big plays, and you know, we got to limit some of our mental mistakes. That was probably the biggest thing. We knew we had to weather it. It was going to be up and down throughout, and it's pretty much the way I anticipated it, not to be tied up, but it happened what we were kind of preparing for. Go out there and execute in the second half, and like I said, we made some mental errors that will cost you, and they did. First game mistakes that we had to correct, and I think we did in the second half.
Well, I think you see 28 points on the board, and people question what's going on with the defense. Well, if you look at what happened, the defense really only got beat on 2 long plays. Other than that, it was a punt block and that pick 6 that allowed it to be tied at 28. Let's look at the second half highlights and see how things progressed. The Reivers come out, again, deadlocked, and the closest game at Titan Stadium since that meeting with Georgia Military back in 2012, and it would be Coffeyville that would get going first, and they would throw toward the far sideline, that Coffeyville sideline, and guess what? Guess who's there? Dominique Reed, and I believe they went to him 5 out of 6 plays on this drive.
Well, I would have done the same thing. I mean, he's a talented receiver, and any chance you can get him the ball.
A couple of big guys as well. That was J.J. Normore, and again here they had a big tight end as well. So they really had a lot of guys going up for the ball. This time though, nobody there. It's Mondo Williams, his 3rd interception, which ties the school record previously set by Travis Green and Isaiah Johnson back in that 2012 season. He gets a return all the way to the house, but a block in the back, and that one will come back. But you get the ball, and that's important.
That was the key, and they were driving, so it was huge.
And why waste any time? Taj Williams, his second reception of the day from Tay Bender, and those guys seem to have a pretty good connection so far.
Yeah, and Taj really had a good camp and really has made a bunch of plays.
And Air Tay goes again. This time Ronald Nash gets the inside position on his defender, and he scores his first touchdown as a Reaver.
It was a designed run play. We're reading a defender, and Tay's got the option to throw it, and Ronald made a nice catch there.
One of my favorite names to say, Darius Commission, along with Mike Edwards there, showing the flexing. They get it done. The big sack there on Colby Brown. Another punt by Connor Thomas, who aside from the block had a couple of very good punts. This one touched by a Reaver, but scooped up. And what's the return? What's the story on this one, Coach?
Well, when we touched it, it's a dead ball. They've still got the opportunity to return it, but it's really a free return. So if the whistle's not blowing, you can return it.
And another quarterback sack. This time Kevin Robbins, Kelvin Rainey get in there for the Reavers. So again, Stauffer trying to get out of the end zone. I thought that he was definitely down in the end zone, but they will say, nope, you got out, and guess what? You bring in the battering ram, Anthony Anderson, and what a day he had.
Yeah, and I give him a lot of credit. He didn't get any carries until the second half, and his first one he goes for
34, I think he went.
And then this one we got him in from 1 yard out.
More importantly, he left a wake of Red Ravens in his trail on that first run. He gets the 1 yard touchdown plunge there. How about another interception? Mondo Williams sets the school record. 4 INTs in the game, and a pretty good return there. That sets you up again.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, he's playing really well. And when you're playing with confidence at that position, that's huge.
Tyler Lloyd rips it away from Darnell Clark there on the pass from Zach Martin. That's Zach Martin's first touchdown pass as a Reaver. Tyler Lloyd's second all time. And by now, you're cruising in the game. It's an entirely different second half. You get 36 unanswered, and you go on to win 57-35. What a performance in the second half.
Well, it was, and I felt like that in the first half. We had the opportunities, and for whatever reason, they got a big play. They weathered it, and then we had to come back. And the second half, there was just too many. They couldn't overtake their mistakes, and we capitalized on some big plays, and that's the way it can snowball pretty fast.
Well, let's take a look at the final stats. You see Tay Bender, 21 of 28, gets over 200 yards, 4 touchdown passes, a couple on the ground as well. Zach Martin with that touchdown pass. All in all, a pretty good day. Your defense played well, and you got a lot of fresh faces that first action that they needed. What was your overall impression of the game, both offensively and defensively?
Well, I felt we played, pretty well in all 3 phases. We had a few special teams things that we have to get shore up. Offensively, pleased with our performance, same type of thing. So for the first game, I'll tell you what, to win is huge. Come out of that game with a win. And there's lots of teachable moments that, and you can't go in week 2 and we can't make those same mistakes this week because the opponent that we're playing is going to capitalize on those.
All in all, a very productive day for the Reavers. Looking back, a lot to be happy with, and it gets you ready for the big one this week against number 6 Butler, and we'll talk all about that in a few segments. When we come back, Travis Jacobson will be by, IWTV student and RSN crew member. He will sit down with the player of the game, Mondo Williams will join us next here on the Coach Stroh Show. This is the Iowa Western Football Coaches Show on the Reivers Sports Network and CBTV 17.
Listen now, can you hear the bluebirds? Oh, look up now, can you feel the sun? Whoa, 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 whoa. Can you feel the sun?
Hey everybody! Heart disease affects 1 in every 3 women in America, but you can fight back. There's no time to lose. Mothers, sisters, daughters, families, and friends, it's time to shout louder, stand stronger, and demand change. Let's go!
To the Batmobile. Dang it.
To the invisible jet!
Dang it.
Together, we can put an end to heart disease. It's time to go red for women. I could use your help. Learn more from the American Heart Association at www.goredforwomen.org.
There's a shelter pet who wants to meet you. Meet one today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org. Adopt.
The Coach Stroh Show continues here on CBTV 17. I'm IWTV student Travis Jacobson, joined by Mondo Williams. Mondo, congratulations on a great game. 4 interceptions, including a 17-yard house call. How does that feel to have such a great game?
It feels amazing. I'm already, halfway to my goal I set previously before the season. It was 8, but now I'm halfway there. Now I gotta, set the record a little bit high. Set my goal a little bit higher. Probably try to reach 14 now since I'm already at 4.
Did you realize that you had set the record during the game?
After the 4th one, a couple teammates came up to me and was like, talking to me about the record, and they thought it was 4, but I ended up breaking it at 4 and tied it at 3, and it was just a real good feeling just to set the record.
You had a 96-yard return last year for a touchdown. Did that have any play when you returned the touchdown this game?
Oh yeah, just I knew a couple big guys were gonna try to chase me down, so I was just thinking to run as fast as I can and get to the other side, and that's what I did. No one can catch me. So. Well,
you're a sophomore here this year. Your experience last year, you played in 10 games. Did that have it, or how has that helped you prepare for this year? That experience. It
helped a lot. Just getting the experience out there, playing with a couple good guys. Last year we had a couple D1 transfers that played my position that I really looked up to, and they taught me a lot of things. So going into this season, just thinking about those guys and just taking a couple things that they did on the field and putting it with my work. So now just trying to try to play the best I can play.
Was there anybody during camp this offseason that was really pushing you for your starting spot this year?
Oh yeah, we got a couple defensive backs right now, and they're pretty young, but I wasn't really worried about my position, being taken or anything. But I was teaching those guys, a little, some techniques and stuff like that. But coming into the season, I was pretty confident that I was gonna, do what I was gonna do.
Now, Iowa Western has moved into the Jayhawk Conference this year. What do you look for in the offenses that you're going to be seeing this season?
Every team's going to have an explosive offense, since this conference is way different and new to us since last year. And, I'm preparing myself for a bunch of good receivers, and fast guys and really big guys. And I went against, some 6'4", 6'3" guys on Saturday. So just going to be preparing myself every Saturday. I'm going to go against bigger and faster guys.
Now, speaking of Saturday, we've got Butler coming up, number 6 team in the nation. Is there a receiver that stands out to you who you want to lock down and shut down?
Watching film on them a couple days. They got a speedster on their team that looks like it's going to be a little problem. But other than that, everyone looks kind of average, and we should do a really good job, and hopefully I get another 4 picks.
Yeah, absolutely. And now you coming into this season, you also had a little bit of a thumb injury that you were dealing with. How's that feel, and how's that affected you so far?
Oh, it's
not too bad.
Not too bad. In the game, I didn't really feel it, but before the game, it was aching and hurting. Kind of worried me a little bit. Just kind of prayed and taped it up a little bit, and obviously it didn't stop me. So.
Right. Mondo, congratulations once again, and thank you for joining us on the Coach Stroh Show.
Thank you.
Coming up after the break, Jake Ryan and the coach are back to talk about this week's regular Armed Forces Night matchup. We'll be right back.
And then from this angle, it all makes a star.
I'm a teacher. Let me tell you what I make. I make learning a privilege, not a chore.
Show up
And frustration, a tool, not an obstacle. I make working hard seem easy, and giving up impossible.
And then we're going to turn the lights and everybody look up.
I make an old subject feel like a fresh thought.
Find me one. What's your reaction gonna be? Yeah, exactly.
And unconventional methods,
Okay, what else?
common.
This is their world.
There's nothing.
And then they die. Go ahead, go.
I'm a teacher. I make more.
Body language can tell you all sorts of things. Like someone is having a stroke. Know the sudden signs. Learn fast. Face drooping, arm weakness, speech difficulty. Time to call 911 and get them to a hospital immediately. Learn the body language and spot a stroke fast.
If you store your guns properly,
I'll feel safer when I'm playing outside.
Safer when walking home.
And I won't have to tell my kids, this isn't a drill.
Never let your gun get into the wrong hands. Always lock it up.
We're back to wrap things up here on the Coach Stroh Show on CBTV Channel 17. Today's production, of course, put together by the IWTV students in the Sports Media Technology and Media Studies programs. And we thank them for their efforts here in show number 1 of the 2014 season. It can only get better from here. Coach, game 1, it's out of the way, and it seems like the schedule makers didn't want to wait too long for the next one that's on the slate. You get to play number 6 Butler in game number 2. They come to town for a rematch of last year's Graphic Edge Bowl and, of course, the 2012 NJCAA National Title game. What can you tell me about Butler? And you can say, well, we do one game at a time, but I know that game was on Thursday night last week, and I know that you had at least half of an eyeball pointed at that Butler game that they took on Independence in game number 1.
Yeah, we watched it, as I'm sure they watched our Saturday game as well. But I mean, they're extremely talented again, and I said it the last 2 times we played them. I think the big thing is, 1, they got a lot of talent. 2, they're extremely well coached, and that's, I mean, going into a game, I mean, that's, as a coach and players, that's what you want. I mean, it's 2 good teams. They're going to be out there playing on Saturday evening. And we're just excited about another quality opponent coming here to Council Bluffs.
Yeah, you want to be the best, you got to beat the best,
Exactly.
And that's the mantra you've taken for the last several years. When you went down to Texas, and then last year when you went down to Texas and Georgia and Arkansas. This year you don't have to travel quite as far, but the level of competition has definitely improved, and we're really looking forward to the entire season. And I know you said that we did that. You did that just for us.
I did. No, it is. I'll tell you what. Looking at the scores in week 1, I mean, Independence showed some good things, and I know they're week 1. Obviously, we know at Butler. I mean, Hutch played a junior varsity team, so I haven't really seen anything from them. But Garden City and Highland was a close game. Fort Scott beat Iowa Central. Ellsworth goes and beats Dodge City. You know, so I'll tell you what, in this league, any Saturday, you got to be ready to play, which I'm excited about. Your kids should be up and ready for practice, and hopefully we have a good practice here, a good prep this week going into the Butler game.
Oh, we're definitely looking forward to, Coach. Good luck. You
Thank
guys
you.
wearing your all blues, I hear, for Armed Forces Day, so we're
blue out, right?
All right, blue out for Butler. That wraps our first Coach Stroh show. Saturday's broadcast on the radio and 897theriver.com begins at 5 o'clock with the pregame show. We'll have our kickoff at 6, and of course, you can see the game online at ihigh.com/IWCC. A reminder that it is Armed Forces Day. All of those active service members and veterans are invited to the game free of charge. We've got free general admission tickets to anyone with a DOD identification card. We'll have face painting for the kids. It's blue out for Butler, so make sure you wear your blue and be very loud. Thanks again to everyone involved in today's program, Coach Strohmeier and sophomore defensive back Mondo Williams. Our great IWTV crew for putting the set and the show together, and as always, to you for tuning in to CBTV Channel 17. I'm Jake Ryan signing off. Until next week, wear blue, be loud, go Reivers.